Urban Legends. With your hosts, Smartwatch, Neil and Chris, Lugan Speaker.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Urban Legends. We're merely here to entertain you with stories of the untold, mysteries and ghosts and robots and that. I am the new rock and roll, hardcore, super extreme juggler, Chris Flynn, and with me is a very special guest. He's a visitor from the recently discovered underwater city of Flon-Tarr. It is Mr.
Neil Herbert.
Hi Neil, how you doing up on dry land?
Skin's getting a bit dried out. You know.
Oh really? So
the old gill's getting a bit,
Oh okay. So it's Flon-Tarr. So it's not like a city of Flon-Tarr. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, it's new for me.
Hey,
sorry. So I didn't mean to disrespect your people. Or is it too late?
Well, it's just the way that you pronounce that. That's like a deadly insult.
Oh, is it?
There's something particularly unflattering about my sister.
That's quite weird.
Fine, you know.
Quite weird that the words are so similar.
Well,
maybe only in my language, Anglo-Saxon. So Flon-Tarr is. So you're kind of mermen, are you? You're not like under a dome.
Yeah, no, we sort of we can breathe underwater. That's fine.
That's pretty cool.
It's not bad, is it?
That is no, not bad. And could you tell us a little bit about Flon-Tarr? What's it like as a city? Is it all made of shells and shit, or is that disparaging?
Yeah, I mean, no, we're a very advanced culture.
More advanced than us. I believe you call us land walkers.
Yeah, land scum.
Land scum, that's it.
Yeah. Dry scum. Well, I mean, it's still very new for me, sort of coming up here, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to draw too many comparisons, but
I guess we've kind of evolved very separately, haven't we? So our cultures are probably very different.
Well, I mean, you can imagine, the kind of difficulty of, trying to build like a computer, for example, underwater, hell on the circuit. So obviously our technology is evolving in a very different way. So,
Use like bubble technology.
Yeah, it's usually bubble and fish technology.
Bubble and fish technology.
So I think in some ways we've had it possibly.
Do you use like open and closed clams to do binary?
Well, yeah, there's that, or kind of an algae circuit, and so there's a lot more kind of like biologically.
Yeah, bioengineering.
Yes, exactly. But I think possibly things like IT and that, maybe a little bit more advanced than we were originally, but with our genetic engineering and fish-based technologies, then I think we're probably ahead. And just for me, I think our beautiful arts and cultures. I mean, our soaps are a lot better than yours, I would say.
Your soaps.
I've been watching this. Is it EastEnders? Is it called?
That's it. Yeah, EastEnders.
Yeah, it's fucking miserable, isn't it? What's that all about?
That's a high point of human achievement. So,
is it?
Another
difference between our peoples.
A lot of people have speculated that maybe the Flon-Tarrians would be better suited to space travel than the humans. Would you agree with that? Because you're used to the living in sort of
those high pressure atmosphere. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, it's when you're at the bottom of the sea, it's quite our exoskeletons have apparently evolved to withstand higher pressures, and yet still unseemingly be okay at the lower pressures on dry land.
No, right. Well, that's because you're kind of. We would call you crustaceans, wouldn't we? But I don't know what Flon-Tarrians would call themselves.
Just have sort of slightly, like
exoskeletons,
harder skin, and
And so where is it a secret, or like what body of water is Flon-Tarr in?
It's
English Channel.
Yeah, it's just north of the Shetland Islands,
right.
in Iceland. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So near the Faroe Islands.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just off
quite
the coast.
fond of cod.
Yep, nice cod diet.
Yeah.
And so, what is the purpose of your visit to the dry lands?
Well, it's a bit of a cultural exchange. We just
Hmm.
sort of thought we come up. We notice,
You're a big fan of our deep sea trawling, presumably.
with deep sea trawling. I mean, the football's getting interesting as well. We're quite into that.
Oh, okay.
That's,
You're into football.
sports are quite difficult. Yeah,
It's certainly something the whole world can agree on. The Premier League.
yeah. The only thing is, we think that your organisation that runs it might be a little bit on the corrupt side. That FIFA. I don't want to, offend anyone, but it seems slightly dodgy.
Oi, watch it. The kings amongst men.
That's true.
Infantino, baby man, Infantino.
Most unlikely hitman cosplayer.
He used to be ginger, so he knows what it's like to be a wage
Oh, that's
slave.
true. Actually, yeah, he knows oppression.
He does know oppression, even though there's loads of pictures of him and he wasn't. That's just a really weird thing to say at the opening ceremony of a World Cup. I know this is like in the past, but it's just odd.
Everyone just pushed him too far, Chris.
He just claims that he was red-headed as a boy when he wasn't. Yeah. To show that he understands oppression.
Absolutely,
Fucking hell. I mean, like that's. I mean, like, do you think he was on drugs?
I mean, I wouldn't like to speculate what they might have been on. I just think it's that thing where you're trying to sort of sell something that's obviously a bit ludicrous, and then
it's like a kid lying. Well, his name is Infantino, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean,
do you have any good sports in Flon-Tarr?
It's a kind of like aquatic polo. I mean, we suppose water polo is what you call it, but yeah, you probably already got that as well. Yeah, a lot of trident-based kind of like games. Darts are quite popular, but but they got little trident darts.
Little trident darts, yeah. What, like forks?
Yeah, I suppose you could call them that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's one thing you do better is kind of like sports and pubs. We like those as well. That's good.
Pubs, yeah. I always think when I'm eating I like to imagine when I'm eating my dinner with my knife and my fork that I am Neptune, god of the sea.
Yeah, just conquering your dinner.
Don't know if anyone else feels that, but certainly what runs through my head.
It's a fun little game you can play, listeners.
So, do you have good tolerance for alcohol? Are you able to make your own under the sea?
Yeah, it's mainly made from fermented fish, so it's pretty tasty, as you can imagine.
I can imagine. That sounds nice. So, is there any kind of
sugars in kale and things or whatever?
I mean, it's probably possible. So, is there any message that you'd like to give to the listeners, the many listeners from all over the world of this podcast? Should we fear the people of Flon-Tarr, or are you here to cooperate? Or
no, it's very much cultural exchange. We're here in peace, so
Okay.
Maybe stop melting all the ice glaciers. That'd be cool.
But that's more. Well,
having said that, yeah. I mean, it does. But it's a delicate ecosystem, Chris. You've got to keep it in balance.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well,
you've been down there, 20,000 leagues under the
sea. Do you have urban legends in Flon-Tarr?
We do, but not as good. I mean, that's another thing we're fond of. Yeah, it's
very logical people, aren't
pubs, and we're very almost robotic in some ways.
Like Vulcans.
There's no, they're very much like your
Earth Vulcans.
Your Earth Vulcans. We're very logical people because when you're underwater, you have to be.
I'll be logical, haven't you?
You've got to be, clearly.
Yeah, the most logical place on Earth. Okay, well, thanks very much. Hopefully, you'll enjoy being part of today's show.
Well, it's a new experience. That's what we're here for.
Cool.
So, what makes your juggling, Chris? Not just rock and roll, but also hardcore, and I believe it was extreme.
It was extreme with an X.
Was it radical?
Well, it's not for me to say, but a lot of people have said that it is radical to the max.
A lot of people or no people said that?
It's a lot of people. On Reddit have said that it's extreme with 3 X's and radical. It's hype. It's real, and it's dangerous.
So ain't low key. I do like I like the fact that all of the kids on Reddit are using kind of like 90s slang. That's good.
Yeah, well, that Reddit isn't where the kids hang out these days.
Is it all just boomers now?
It's all boomers.
They're all on TikTok, all of the Gen Z or whatever.
That's right, yeah.
They're low-key on TikTok.
They're low-key on TikTok, yeah, low-key quitting. So...
Yeah, so explain yourself. What?
Well, so the first thing is obviously it's my
What are you
state.
juggling with?
No, I'll come to that.
Okay, right.
The first thing is my look.
Dildos, I'm hoping, yeah. They're on fire.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
The first thing is my look.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Leather jacket.
Leather vest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Leather vest.
King of all the leather outfits.
Yeah. I've got tiger stripe tattoos down each arm.
Nice.
I've got like a leather bracelet with studs on it and some
that's pretty hardcore.
Skull rings. I've got frosted tips.
Oh, nice. This is even more 90s than I was imagining.
It's good, isn't it? I've got shark's tooth round my neck.
Oh.
Leather trousers and cowboy boots, of course. And I come in on a motorbike to the music that Hulk Hogan used to come into the wrestling in. You know, I am a real American. Bear, 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 bear. And there's like loads of pyrotechnics. And then,
how are you justifying that, given you're not a real American?
Well,
it's the look in it. It's
the characters are the characters American.
Okay, it's the
characters American. And then I go, "Are you ready for some juggling?" And then like everyone screams, the 4 or 5 people around the bandstand. And then so I juggle stuff like chainsaws.
Okay.
That's dangerous.
Are they on at the time?
Yeah, turn them on. Black and Decker ones. Make sure I charge them up because I've got electric batteries.
Yeah.
I'll juggle them. I'll juggle babies.
No, yeah.
If I can get
with the chainsaws at the same time.
Sometimes with both, yeah. So that is pretty extreme,
isn't it? Extreme, yeah.
Bowling balls.
Criminal offence, I would say. Yeah,
bowling balls to show off my muscles.
They're quite heavy, yeah.
Quite heavy, and bowling balls they'll all be like clear perspex with different things, like an ace of spades in one, or like a red rose in one, or like some drops of my own blood, like those shoes that
little Naz,
the little Naz to really annoy everyone brilliantly. So I'll juggle them. I'll juggle little vials with cork tops on them, with some with acid in, some with biological virus, something like that.
Used hypodermic syringes.
Yeah, I will take them directly out of the user's arm and then start juggling them.
Yeah.
Like all sorts of toasters.
Toasters, yeah. Connected.
Connected. While I'm standing in a bath.
Yeah.
That's a good one, isn't it?
Drop those. Get lights out.
That's a game over, buddy. So I do that. Sometimes on a unicycle, I put a little red nose on.
Heading firmly into clown territory here, I see.
Yeah. I've never been very good at finishing shows, to be honest.
Nice.
But yeah, I'll do that. Maybe lie on a bed of nails, whilst bench pressing someone in a wheelchair. So. So
it's a bit of a mixed act, isn't it? I mean, it's definitely pretty extreme, but yeah,
it's pretty extreme.
This sounds like more of a desperate cry for help, I would say.
Yeah, like sometimes I'll do a
cry yourself to sleep much.
Tightrope walk between 2 biplanes while playing a trombone. Barrel over a waterfall, that kind of thing. But the barrel's made of sandpaper.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm very much going down sort of David Blaine sort of extreme juggling route. But yeah, I've got a residency in Nevada, not Vegas, Reno.
You're working your way up there, yeah.
Yeah, one of the smaller places in Reno. But
you thought about trying to make friends with Leonardo DiCaprio. That couldn't hurt. David Blaine.
Yeah, it did work for David Blaine, but
get on Variety, the front page, something. They'll be like, "Is juggling cool?"
Yeah, is juggling the new rock and roll? This member of the Pussy Posse thinks so. Unfortunately, I've not been able to sort of do it with someone as big as Leonardo DiCaprio, but I am hanging around with James Woods and Brian Blessed. So we kind of got our own.
Not off-putting at all, anyway.
No,
I don't know. I'd have a point with Brian Blessed. I think James would probably be a bit.
Yeah, he's gone.
I just imagine he'd be running off to the toilet every 5 minutes for some reason.
That's all right. I don't mind.
And coming back very animated.
Yeah. So
not inferring anything.
Those two and Woody Allen. That's my group.
Oh, okay, that's your crew.
That's my group. Yeah. And we
posse of sorts, not necessarily one I'd want to.
No, we don't hang around Los Angeles. We hang around some of the smaller towns in Delaware.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
But it's building up.
In a field in Iowa.
But I've got my own podcast now here, so it's going all right.
Sky's the limit.
So that's that part of the show over with, Neil. What are we talking about today?
Right
then.
Moving swiftly on.
Why did you stretch your braces out when you said that?
It's just my little what do we call it?
Workman's startup.
No, my dedication to Bobby Bull.
Oh, nice. That's good. Do you know what? That is a reference which is gonna really hit home all across the world.
If you're not intimately familiar with shit 80s UK comedians at the end of the pier rubbish, or any of what I've just said.
Yeah.
Cannon and Bull, everyone. I believe they did a film. They were a comedy double act. Yeah, kind of like tail end of the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, don't bother looking them up.
Yeah, but that was his little punchline. He would and then say Jimmy or something. I don't know. Can't remember.
Yeah, it's quite good that alternative comedy kicked off kind of around that time.
Yeah, it was a fairly desperate state of affairs at the time.
Chicken and basket style comedians.
Well, each to their own, I suppose. Christian
working man's clubs.
Yeah, you couldn't play one up clubs in Bolton like I could.
Wouldn't want to.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, so I'm going to talk about the Island of the Devil.
The Island of the Devil.
Yeah.
What?
What other things? So this is an island in Djibouti.
I like your Djibouti.
It's a good name, isn't it? I like that.
Djibouti, yeah, it's cool. This is our second mysterious island, then.
Yeah, I was kind of like a bit of a fan of Lost, so I'm usually on the hunt for some mysterious islands. It's not got all of the attributes, but it's got a bit of an air of mystery about it. So
has it got more to it than Bermeja, the one which probably didn't exist?
This one definitely exists. I'll say that much.
Oh, okay.
It definitely exists.
Already ahead.
Jacques Crustose gets involved.
Jacques Crustose.
Yeah, and the locals are afraid of it. So
okay,
or wary of it, maybe we should say. So I've got a couple of articles. I mean, they're not long ones, Chris, but I'm going to start off with a little kind of like amuse-bouche, if you like.
Okay.
From werewolf.com.
Okay, werewolf.com.
So this is an article by the Evil Cheeseman from werewolf.com.
The Evil Cheeseman.
That's what he's calling himself. That's cheese with a Z, by the way.
Oh, fair enough. That's all right.
Wayne Miller.
He must be pretty extreme.
Well, you'll like him. He'd fit into your juggling posse, I reckon. So he's the owner and creative director of Evil Cheese Productions. He specialises in theatrical performances and haunted attractions.
Okay.
Been in a dozen plays, written a novel called The Confessions of St. Christopher Werewolf, which you can purchase at, you go and look at his website, look at the Evil Cheeseman's website if you want to get hold of your werewolf novel. Anyway, so that's where he's written just a little one, gives a little bit of a taster as to what this is all about.
Djibouti is a very small country, isn't it, Neil?
It is, yeah. It's near Ethiopia, I believe, isn't it? It's kind of
yeah, just north of Ethiopia.
Yeah. So, going to do my part to serve the travel magazine with this one, he tells us, recommending to you, those of you who are stupid enough, brave enough to go there, the Gobe Al Karab, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I'll give it a go, otherwise known as the Island of the Devil. First, you'll need to travel to Djibouti. In Africa, up in the northern part of the Horn, it's pretty small, so look carefully, you might miss it. It borders Ethiopia and Somalia, if that helps.
I don't think that's how travel works.
Yeah, I imagine if
you miss it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, well, I've just gone north of Ethiopia, and I don't know, I'm in Somalia, and now
I'm in Egypt.
That'd be like
now,
us looking for that when we're going for that what's that island where they have was it St. John where he broke the Book of Revelation, his cave or something?
Patmos.
Patmos, yeah. We went
Yeah.
up the hill, went down the hill, and now I'm pretty sure that thing we mistook for a public toilet was actually the.
Yeah. All
I think
corrugated.
they just did a thing on
Corrugated
the.
it up.
Yeah, I think they just covered up the outside, and then you can go in and have a look at his little cave, which I imagine is just kind of like a little
Like a
fissure in the
little
wall or
cave.
something. But
Little
yeah,
cave with loads of like relics.
yeah. So that was a
I mean,
shame we missed that. But yeah,
well, sort of. I mean, I was quite relic full at that point of the trip, I'm afraid.
yes, and yeah, we'd already been up a monastery up the hill, so I don't think you collect that. I think we just got off of a ferry, hadn't we? Up and was that
Yes.
all night one? Yeah, I think you just
Yeah,
we
it was
just
from
down
Simi.
Patmos, didn't we? So, yeah.
And then afterwards, you had a little sleep on the beach.
Indeed, yeah. So there you go, listeners. There's a little insight into a great holiday village.
Like a lovely hobo.
I needed it at that point, but yeah. So anyway, my point there was that was very, very easy to miss. So if you find yourself on Patmos, get directions if you want to go to the cave and jump. However, I don't think that's how, as you say, Chris, travel. I don't think you're gonna, walk
Gonna miss a
past
country.
Djibouti. You're probably gonna sort of like, land there or drive there or or get a.
Well, I was in
train.
Somalia and now I'm in Eritrea. I walked
Yeah.
all the way through Djibouti. Oh, no.
Wow, got to head back now.
Oh, God.
No, look, you take a left there. Oh, right, yeah. Anyway, so once you're there, anyway, you jump in a boat and head across the Gulf of Tajura.
Mm.
The island of the Devil sits right on top of the convergence of tectonic plates that separate Africa from Arabia.
Mm.
And apparently, Gobat al-Karab can also refer to the cove itself, as well as the island.
Okay.
But why is it that it's called that? That's what you all really want to know. Well, it said that the local fishermen avoid the area because of sharks, possibly, but they're also afraid that visiting the island will bring bad luck. It's said that Shaitan, aka the devil, calls the island home and will drag anyone who trespasses away to hell.
So that's where he lives.
Yep, we found him.
Oh, that's easy enough to avoid.
He's got quite a few openings into our dimension, though, hasn't he? Because he's got that church. He's got that. Was it Stull Cemetery?
Yeah, Stoll Cemetery.
Yeah. Stull, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's some, various gateways to hell that we've talked about in the past. So yeah, lots of doors in. But yeah, this is where he's chilling. Apparently. Explorer Jacques Crustose is said to have discovered some kind of sea monster in the cave, and this aquatic beastie guards the island. Now I have to go there, he says. So that was
does he actually say beastie?
He does say beastie, yeah.
So is he Scottish? Could be.
Yeah.
An aquatic beastie.
Or did I make that up? Jacques Crustose. Oh, some sea monster in the cave. Oh no, he does say, and this aquatic beastie guards the island, yeah.
An aquatic beastie.
Yeah, I don't know if this gentleman is Scottish, the evil cheeseman. I somehow just sort of assumed he was American, but
But beastie is very Scottish.
Yeah, I don't know really. I think it's probably travelled across the. Well, who knows? Anyway,
who knows? As always, I'm focusing on the wrong things.
Yes, so that's just giving you a little bit because also on some of the other cards called Shaitan. I mean, also there's kind of like rumours among the locals that devil's involved, but then also there's some kind of sea monster potentially who Jacques Crustose bumped into. So I'm going to we go to another article now from a site called Culture Trip, and it's all about unique trips with care for the world. So, what and where is the island of the devil? It's by Willem Boujrada. He's a writer for Culture Trip. So, Djibouti has many well-kept secrets, including the Gobat al-Karab, the island of the devil, the one gem that sparks every visitor's curiosity and rekindles urban myths among locals. Here's everything you need to know before you visit the island of the devil. The history of the island of the devil, it's referred to again in Gobat al-Karab among locals, is in a cove in the middle of the Gulf of Tajura, nestled on top of the unstable crystal meeting point between the African and Arabian tectonic points. It's a relentlessly windy area, surrounded by lifeless and arid cliffs 600 meters high, and in the heart of an active volcano, lying in a thick bed of lava flows of volcanic dust. So it's not a very
it's not very habitable. I can see it at Moocha Islands, so it's kind of north of the capital city. Because Djibouti has like a big kind of inlet golf thing.
Okay.
That's kind of in the middle of that. That does. Oh, there's you can camp there by the looks of things. There is some buildings, maybe military. And there's mangroves. It's nice, isn't it?
Nice.
And there's a diving centre.
Yes, there seems to be quite a lot of diving around that kind of part, although apparently it's quite difficult to...
It's Red Sea, isn't it, nearly? I guess it's not, but Red Sea is very good for diving.
I think this is more of a sort of challenging place for diving on this one, than what I've read elsewhere. So, over the years, the cove has made the news and featured in urban legends for its spectacular site, and is today mainly visited by curious divers and scientists for exploration. It's very common to encounter whale sharks here, especially during mating season. So if you want to go and see a whale shark, there you go.
Yeah, and massive.
So, massive aggregations...
And harmless. And they're vegetarian.
Oh, are they? Massive aggregations can be observed, and it's maybe due to this that locals avoid fishing in the area. However, it's not the only reason. Curious myths have been developed over time. And as it gets into the local community's beliefs, myths and legends. In one of his expeditions, the French explorer Jacques Crustose seemingly discovered an indescribable maritime creature here and insisted it never be revealed to humanity.
That doesn't sound like Crustose.
Yeah, it sounds unlikely, doesn't it? Or, there's a follow-up article we'll get into that on one of these cryptozoology blogs. Since then, locals and visitors alike have been nurturing and diffusing frightful stories about the island of the devil. According to local newspapers at the time, Costo and his team conducted an experiment to explore the depths of the gobbet by submerging a camel carcass in a cage. To their surprise, as they took it out of the water, they discovered the cage had been entirely smashed and deformed, resulting in the disappearance of the carcass. So what were they lowering it in a cage for in the first instance, then? What do they think was going to happen?
Yeah, that's it's weird. It's like...
Funny experiment. I mean, just putting the camel carcass down and seeing what nibbles on it, I suppose. That's one thing.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, that's not really how I would go about trying to find out the depth of something.
Yeah. I mean, putting yourself in a cage and then going down.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I suppose you just see if there's anything down there strong enough to smash the cage to pieces.
Yeah, it's best. That's one of the checklists, isn't it? Before you go in yourself.
It's like a canary in the coal mine, isn't it?
Exactly. Camel in the cage.
Camel in the cage.
Stick that down. No. If that's okay, then you
can go in the cage, yourself. Pop down. Yeah,
exactly.
Maybe clean out the bits of dead camel.
Well, there wouldn't be dead camel if you're going to take the diver down. The camel carcass you wouldn't go down if the carcass cage had been smashed and the carcass had been ravaged.
Well, no, that's true. Yeah. Well, I suppose. Yeah. I don't know.
Unless you're just like really doing a tick box exercise and you're not really paying attention.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
Fine. There we go. All the papers are in order.
Yeah. So locals say the bay is occupied by the shaitan, the devil, and it's certainly a forbidden place to go, especially during sunset and at night. It would be difficult to convince a Djibouti fisherman to go into the bay because of this general belief. Going there will bring misfortune to people. Many locals even believe there was a time when a great fire-crowned mountain would disappear under a massive water invasion. And since then, it's been associated with terribly malefic stories revolving around the demons thought to drag anyone daring to wander close into the profound abyss.
So looking at that area, it's got a lot of kind of, like looking on Google Maps, it's a lot of kind of, there's the islands, but there's lots of shallows and stuff around there. So I imagine it'd be quite a treacherous place to try and sail around. So probably lost quite a lot of boats around that kind of area. So I'm wondering.
Yeah, I think it gets quite windy, and because of the local system, there's a lot of like algae and stuff in there as well. So I think it's a lot of very low visibility on. I think it's quite a challenging place for people to sort of like. So yeah, I can imagine it's quite of some of the rumours.
Stay clear.
Because it's just a difficult place to navigate. So the images and videos that Costo claimed to have filmed have never been revealed. Nobody rejects the plausible idea of the existence of giant manta rays or sharks. But it's also thought that Costo didn't present any proof because he didn't have any.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly there's been never any actual videos or images of the fantastic creature he claimed to have found. Media outlets back in France and critics among the scientific community claim that he used this legend as a way to keep funding his pursuit.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like his MO.
And I don't know that much about Jacques Crustose, to be honest with you, other than he's obviously a famous naturalist back in the day.
Is he the one who you first encountered of the land people in Flon-Tarr?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, one of the first, obviously,
Yeah.
Captain Nemo was probably the original, that fictional character.
Yeah, that's fine. It's all fictional, mate.
That's Flon-Tarr for you, though.
Yeah, it's magic. It's a mystical place.
So they just talk about how you get there. So you can hire a boat in Djibouti City.
Yeah.
You'll struggle to get most of the fishermen or trained personnel to actually come along, though. So you'll need to hire a specialist tour company, apparently, to organise a visit. But you can get it. Not for beginners, because of the strong currents, dangerous waters, and associated legends. So be well informed before you try and travel there.
Well, and also that you have to be quite a strong swimmer to evade the devil, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean there is that as well. So this is the thing: is that some of them sort of seem to say it's some kind of mythical beast that lives in the waters, or it's devil related, or it's the devil himself, or a mixture of all of the above.
Yeah.
So that is kind of largely the urban myth. I mean, what the thing I've got as a follow up here is there was a off the back of that article a couple of years back. A blog called Sugar Nature wrote something called The Curious Case of Jacques Cousteau's Missing Sea Monster. And this is apparently some UK cryptozoologist.
Okay.
His fellow UK zoologist, Richard Freeman, brought his attention to the article that we've just gone through. He talks about the Jacques Cousteau bit, about did he obtain proof of the shaitan's reality, but insisting it didn't be revealed to humanity.
I mean, that's do you know what? Like, it's not up to you, Christo. It's not up to you what humanity should and shouldn't be exposed to. That's not very scientific.
Well, no, and he says, well, he looked into it, this chap, and he posted links on various Facebook cryptozoology related groups trying to find out a little bit more. And a veteran French cryptozoologist called Michel Reynal got involved with him and said it was all basically an old bollock. Apparently, in 1971, Cousteau publicly denied it in one of his own books, Life and Death in a Coral Sea. He documented it in his so he's writing. This guy writes a column in the Alien Zoo column for 14 Times. But apparently, Cousteau's own statement contained in his book. We decided to visit the Gove, a famous gulf of the Red Sea. Before leaving Djibouti that morning, one of our crew had by chance asked a local Arab diver about it. Ah, sir, it's the most extraordinary place. It's bottomless and it's inhabited by monsters so large they can drag down lines attached to 200-litre cans. And moreover, in '63, Commandant Cousteau went there with Frederick Dumas and his best divers, and they were so terrified by what they saw that they ran away. We were eager to see the place, in which, according to local gossip, we earned so ignominious a reputation. Must report, however, it was disappointment. It's an inland sea, connects the Red Sea by a narrow path, in which there's a very strong current, running at 7 knots. Once in the bay itself, we lowered the diving saucer to a depth of over 600 feet without catching sight of even a small monster. Divers then suited up and went down also, but saw nothing more remarkable than a large sea urchin. They saw very few fish of any kind. My guess that the Gouvet monster of Arab legend was originally a manta ray seen by some shepherd from a hilltop. And they must get stuck in that.
That's very bit dismissive.
Well, yeah, but
I mean,
he reckons he never. It would appear from Cousteau himself, he never actually found the shaitan or any kind of indications there are.
Yeah.
So maybe made up by the locals.
But I think that's a bit like some shepherd on a hilltop just saw manta ray. Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, the people of Djibouti have probably lived in that area for thousands and thousands of years. I'm sure this isn't the first manta ray they've seen.
Shepherd wouldn't know a manta ray from his elbow.
If he's shepherding about by the sea, he might do. No,
if he was a sea shepherd, that might be entirely different, Chris. But
no, I think if you live by the coast,
he was shepherding fish.
unless it was his first, unless he'd shepherded too far, and this was his first time he'd seen the sea. But
It's just a village
feels
idiot
unlikely.
shepherd. He doesn't. Yeah, he's not even very good at shepherding his sheep.
No, it's shepherding rocks.
Yeah,
they just like give him that to do to keep him out of the way while they do.
All of his sheep went off the cliff because he went far too far to the coast, and then. I mean, actually, he wasn't even supposed to be in Djibouti. He just kind of like
he was from.
He was walking between Ethiopia and Somalia, and he just ended up getting lost in Djibouti by mistake. I mean, it'll happen.
Yeah, maybe. Seems likely. So,
it's a pretty thin one.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite thin. I mean, what it sounds like to me is that these islands, like, there's warnings on them, don't go around them, and locals kind of have like different myths about it. But it's actually a lot to do with the fact that they're really treacherous, and probably like fishermen have got stuck there and died and all crashed their boats or whatever. And then Crustose either did or didn't make something up to continue his funding.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've used Jacques Crustose's name as just as kind of like that's been an embellishment of the urban myth, and it looks like he hadn't really made any of those claims, if you actually, or from what we can tell. So, but yeah, no, there definitely is there definitely seems to be some sort of belief that there's a bit of a monster down there. I mean, hey, why not? Still banging about the Loch Ness monster.
Exactly. It's possible. And
no sightings, unfortunately, other than the supposed Cousteau one, which seems to have been sort of brought itself out.
Well, the thing which interests me as well is there is loads of very regular looking buildings on the island. And I'm wondering if maybe that is like a military place and they use the Crustose thing in order to kind of dissuade people from going there if it was a military base.
Do you reckon it's a bit of an Area 51 situation?
I'm not sure it's as advanced as Area 51 looking at the buildings from above, but
conducting some kind of aquatic.
Yeah, I mean, it could be
military manoeuvres,
or it could be like a island of Dr. Monroe kind of thing. Maybe that's kind of where they develop pigman technology and that kind of stuff.
Well, that'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a military base to me from above. It looks like kind of governmental. So,
have you seen like a pasty-looking Marlon Brando with a little monkey mini hanging out?
No, not from what I'm seeing on Google Maps. But again,
doesn't mean he's not there. That
doesn't mean he's not there. He could be in one of the buildings, or the incredibly internationally powerful Djiboutian government could have got Google to remove some bits.
Well, they've got that technology on their phones, haven't they? You can remove people from a crowd. That's probably how they came up with the technology.
Yeah, maybe.
The Djibouti government, with their massive martial might, forced them to develop the technology to remove, Marlon Brando from Google Earth photos.
Yeah,
they were islands of Dr. Moreauing in their back garden.
Yeah, so we didn't know what was going on.
Half man, half shaken monster roam the seas.
I mean, that field, to be honest,
to what ends we don't know, but
from everything we've said so far, that seems the most likely.
Yeah, that seems like a logical conclusion to come to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'll just say on the comments of this article, I said Dr. Carl Schuker as well, by the way. Having a Dr. Carl Schuker. I'm just wondering if he's a doctor of cryptozoology or.
Oh yeah, there we go.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we should get doctorates in that from the Phoenix Online University.
Yeah, we've made up stuff. Strange that Cousteau remarks that manta rays are not the most intelligent of creatures, whereas other notable oceanographic experts state opposite views on this assumption. His remarks are 50 years out of date. Then the general consensus was all fish are stupid.
Yeah.
Only been in the last 20 years we've accrued the observational data.
Is that hard? Is that hard for you to hear? That's how people used to think of fish or fishmen?
It's just ignorant, isn't it?
It is ignorant.
There you go. And apparently there's a similar story about Cousteau and Lake Tahoe.
Yeah,
Tahoe.
I mean,
he went down there and was so horrified by what he'd seen. He said, the world is not ready for what I've seen. And apparently there's a Tahoe Tessie in those parts.
He seems to be saying that quite a lot.
I think it's just that a lot of like everyone's heard of like Jacques Cousteau, haven't they? Because he was quite famous, or sort of,
Yeah.
40 years ago. Everyone, he was like really. I mean, I don't really know.
It was like a celebrity scientist,
Yeah,
like
he was like kind of
very
famous
early.
for a time, but for for subaquatic stuff. But even I've heard, I'm familiar with the name.
Yeah.
I don't really know too much about him, but I think he did documentaries and stuff. I think he did do TV stuff.
The film The Life Aquatic was
but
him,
yeah, it was based on it was the sort of pastiche of his career.
Yeah.
Even with the sort of sea monster that we're sort of referring to here to an extent, maybe it was based on the show Pan. That bit, who knows? But yeah. So, but no, I think he's one of those names that just gets called in. It's like when people, always quote Einstein or Shakespeare for any clever quote, even though it's not actually attributed correctly. I think
Oscar Wilde.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think they've just been, if it's something to do with the sea, then just say Jacques Cousteau.
Get your pants off! We're having a disco. Oscar Wilde.
Oh, classic Oscar. One of his
classic Oscar Wilde.
That was from Importance of Being Earnest, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was, yeah.
Lady Bracknell, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't a lot about the devil, is there? Really?
No, it's one of those ones. It's just kind of like it's. I mean, I just thought, I thought it was nice to sort of go and have a look at something that's happening in Djibouti. There's not an awful lot you can look up on it. I did do a bit more googling. There isn't much more to substantiate it.
I mean, I'd say, and I don't want this to sound out of order, but I would say that America probably does better urban legends than Djibouti from this small sample.
I mean, just from this sampling, I would have to agree. I mean, but if anyone wants to, I mean, hey, I'd love to. If there's any more meaningful,
maybe from the capital.
Djibouti. Yeah,
Djibouti, which is also called Djibouti.
Oh, that's classic,
easy enough, isn't it?
Easy to remember.
Yeah. Where are you from, Djibouti? What part Djibouti? All right. Well, shall we?
You better move on to the scoring, I guess.
Oh, it's going to be pretty high.
I'm thinking 80 points here, but yeah.
All right, Neil. So spookiness. Crack your head open. Spill out some scores.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see the devil getting involved in the underwater world, or maybe, but whether he lived on the island, like in the volcano, or whether he's involved downstairs, I don't know. He seems to be getting all around, but yeah, I mean, there's kind of like vague hints towards the subterranean monster, or not subterranean, but subaquatic. The devil's sort of getting involved, but I don't know. Yeah, or possibly a big manta ray. Mind you, a manta ray did kill Shane. What's
Steve Irwin?
Yeah, Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
So I think it was a manta ray anyway. So they can be a bit. Yeah, it's not that spooky though, is it? It's one of those ones that's more mysterious than spooky. Because we don't really know. There's like there's a sense that this is a place that's a bit sort of where bad things can happen, but then then there might be devil involved, or there might be some sort of sea monster, but there's not nobody really knows or has been able to sort of produce any evidence. And we don't. Yeah, there's not really a lot of story. Yeah, it's all just a bit too mysterious to be that spooky, really, because you don't really know what the threat is, other than just it's the devil. And he's all over the place. To be honest, he's a bit overexposed, I would say.
Yeah,
for his own good. So I'll give it a 3 out of 10.
3. So I would imagine if you're. So I think that basically it's an area where there's lots of shallows and it's dangerous for ships and that kind of stuff. And the stories kind of come up around it because people like disappear out there. But I don't think there's anything supernatural involved. But I imagine if you're a fisherman, like the fact that you could lose your life by going somewhere, even if it is like through shipwrecking or whatever. I imagine that they would find it quite spooky. I think it's one of those where it's a cautionary tale, like don't go around here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And people will say whatever they need to kind of make it stick in people's heads because it's dangerous. I mean, there's not really much about the devil, and there's fairly little about an aquatic monster, really.
Just thought it might be one, is really the
I find the potential military base a bit spooky, and the fact that maybe people are warned off going to the island. Like they do that a lot in sort of stories and films, don't they? It's like, oh, don't go down there, it's haunted or whatever, and then they get there and it's like a secret military thing. So I think the fact that it looks like there is something there which we don't know about, like all these buildings and stuff. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, because that was a.
Go ahead.
I was just sorry, man. I was just saying that's the plot of that first Bond movie, wasn't it? Dr. No.
Yeah.
It's a little fella living in an underground, sea thing, developing. I don't know. I can't even remember what his game was. He was up to no good.
So I'm not. Yeah. So the fact that there's unknown. So I mean, it might be. I mean, it could even be a prison or something. I don't know. So, but I'm going to give it a 4 because I want to know what's going on those mystery buildings.
Ooh.
So, believability. I mean, I don't. There's nothing to hang your hat on that the devil has anything to do with this, apart from that's just the name of it. There's no stories of the devil particularly, right? Or that I suppose they said that they'd seen an occasional fiery mountain that came out of the sea. So again, like it's just like it's pretty thin gruel. Could someone see like a whale shark and shit themselves? Absolutely, they're massive, and they look weird, even though they are pretty harmless. So there's some believability around a sea monster thing, and also, I'm always, there could always be something there sea wise. Like just because someone had a dive once and didn't see anything doesn't mean there's not something there. So that ups the believability a bit for me. So if we're going on the sea monster thing, which I think we have to because the devil doesn't mean much, I'm going to give it a 5. Neil?
Yeah, I'm probably fairly similar. So I think that it's the key thing for me is we've not really got any confirmed sightings, meaning, but I think the thing that ups the believability a little bit for me is that it's something where people don't necessarily want to go out there. I mean, you can organise a day trip out there, but
and there is a diving centre on there.
Yeah, there's a diving centre on there, so it's obviously not that bad. But the fact that some people don't want to go on there. All right, it's probably more to do with kind of like the conditions or what have you. But I give it a little bit more believability. So yeah, I'll give it a 5 as well.
Oh, narrative premise, Neil.
I mean, there's a bit here. You could take it in different directions. I mean, the good thing is it's pretty open, isn't it? Because there's not really sure. I think, as you say, you could. I mean, as I say, that was the plot of that first Bond movie, so you could uncover some military angle or something else going on that they're trying to cover up by sort of rumouring the devil or sea monsters to keep people staying away. It's maybe maybe one of those tech billionaires has got a secret chamber in the middle of the island. Who knows? So yeah, I think, but there's not a lot here and there. But I like the fact that it's in Djibouti. I like it's something a bit original. You could twist in the Jacques Crustose stuff. So the kind of people have used it in similar ways and stuff that's been written in the past. I'm going to give it a 6 on that basis.
Okay.
Yeah, there was that Wes Anderson movie and that first Bond movie that had kind of similar premise. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I remember there was a resort on the Sudanese coast of the Red Sea. I remember watching a documentary about it, and it was meant to be, I can't remember, it was like in the 70s or something. And it was meant to be like just a diving resort, but actually it was a base for Israeli spies. Ooh. As they kind of went out and did their sort of counterintelligence stuff, but also kind of assassinations and that kind of thing. And so that's not far away. So that, so I'm looking at the buildings going, wondering, that could be an untold story or maybe a narrative or something. I don't know. the thing is, you can do stuff with it. The buildings are what makes it for me, because it being called Devil Island with no stories about the devil, kind of whatever. Sea monsters, again, always all right, but not original. But I think that you could do something with it, and it's called Devil's Island, that kind of stuff. But actually, there's the military side of things, and also very close to there was an actual spy base, which sort of was the cover for it was a diving resort. So yeah, I'll give it a 6 because I've come up with a story for it.
Fair enough.
So Reach, I've not heard of it. I don't know how big it would be outside of the Horn of Africa, or even within the Horn of Africa. It's probably very well known in Djibouti. There doesn't seem to be a huge amount of it on the internet. And I don't really know how old it is. Presumably it's quite old, so that'll give it a bit more.
They don't really kind of
go into it.
You don't really get any sense of that, to be honest with you, from the articles that I've seen.
No.
Well, there's only really a couple of blog posts.
But if people have been fishing for thousands of years, people have been living there thousands of years, the islands have been there. So I'm going to say,
I suspect there've been rumours about it for a while. Yeah, I would imagine.
So because of the longevity of it, it's going to get better than nothing. So I'm going to give it a 3 for each. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I think I don't think it's particularly well known. So I think basically there's this one blog post that seems to have created most of the interest. I'm not sure where Werewolf, the Big Cheese, or whatever his name was, got his from, whether he'd read it from that or found about it independently. So if you've been to that part of Djibouti, then I suppose you probably have heard of it. But other than that, can't imagine it travelling around that much, especially because there's the stuff with Jacques Crustose, which looks to be made up, but that's the only kind of like meaty part really in terms of the sighting. So I can't think of me around that much. I'm going to give it a 2 on this one for me.
And that gives us an overall score of 35. So not the lowest. I think the fact that we both came up with a story for it, and also are at least open, or at least agnostic towards there being some kind of sea monsters. Has boosted it.
So it's a nice little mystery somewhere a bit different. So,
Yeah. And we've obviously not done one from... I would imagine this is the only podcast which has done a urban legend from Djibouti out there. So
that's probably a very good reason for that. So.
But that's it for this week. If you do have any kind of good kind of mysteries from the Horn of Africa, specifically Djibouti area, then please get in contact at legends.podcast@gmail.com. I know you won't. And if you want to leave us a comment or a review, maybe go for one which is a bit fuller, but we appreciate it either way. And that's basically it for this week. I hope you all have a nice week. It's getting a bit sunnier now, so hopefully we're seeing the tail end of winter's grip upon us in the northern hemisphere. Cool. All right. Well, we'll see you all next week with another episode. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Antennae. Server. USB. Wi-Fi. Chip and pin. Busy bit.